What is going on, YouTube? Prepper Princess, the author of Living on Almost Nothing. If you're interested, I'll leave a link down below. Is this the great reset that we all hear about? I think that there is so much that goes into a conversation like this that it is really difficult to pinpoint like one or two or three talking points. The truth is that I have absolutely no idea if this is the great reset. Maybe, maybe not. I've got a 50-50 shot. I can say yes or I can say no, and in a year it could either be like Prepper Princess is prophetic, or it could be like that didn't age well. Like, so I have no idea. I really don't. The thing is that like, are you prepared? Are you prepared for it? And what do you need to be prepared if it is? So, I don't even know how to break this down. Like, I seriously don't. You all know that I live the most simple life that you can imagine. People actually get irritated with me at how simple I live, and that's fine. Whether I have $1 or $1 billion, I'm still going to live the same exact lifestyle that I live now. Let's say that it is the Great Reset, and we go into a Great Depression. There is a big difference between a Great Depression and an economic collapse, okay? In a Great Depression, you still have services. You still have a police department, a fire department. Other services are going to be a lot less. Like maybe the library is open a lot less or not open at all. Maybe your roads and your infrastructure is not going to get repaired as quickly or at all. But you still have a basic level of safety, the safety that we live with now. In a Great Depression, you might have shortages, but your grocery stores are still pretty much full. In an economic collapse, a total collapse of society, you have no electricity, no running water, no police department, no fire department, no safety, right? So when it comes to a Great Reset, I believe that this was all brought on by the WEF, the World Economic Forum, which takes place in Davos. There's this famous saying, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Well, let me tell you something about, if you hear anything you hear coming out of the words of anybody's mouth at Davos is completely against all that America stands for: freedom, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, good health care, like you name it. In my opinion, Davos is completely demonic. And anything they say, I want to do the exact opposite of anything that they say. So when it comes to you will own nothing and be happy, screw off. I want nothing to do with you, okay? This is a place of freedom. If you want to own stuff, you should be able to own stuff. You should by paying for it, not getting into debt, paying for it. But let's assume that there is some sort of great monetary reset. I think that this is where everything goes from like the dollar to something else. And again, it's hard to just pinpoint a couple talking points. Before 1971, we had a gold-backed dollar. So every dollar that we had in the United States was backed by the gold that we had in, I guess, Fort Knox. And in 1971, Nixon decided it would be a good idea to become a debt-based society instead of a gold-backed society. So finances changed in a big way, which is not for the better because our government is in debt and we're in debt. The problem is that when you kick the can down the road for so long, you run out of road. And I think that we are at the point where we have run out of road. And it comes under the president's responsibility to attempt to fix the problem or come up with some sort of solution that is outside of the norm of the thinking of a regular citizen. So there's that. if we are going to go and have a financial reset with the technology that we have now, it's not going to go back to gold. Like, nobody's going to be carrying around gold in their pockets to go to the grocery store. It's just not going to happen. They're far too expensive to mine and create and carry, and they're not traceable. They can be forged easily, blah, 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 blah. So our option is likely cryptocurrency. So you have heard, probably, if you follow the news and watch the news, the government is putting these different cryptocurrencies together, sort of like Fort Knox. So Fort Knox has gold. Now the United States wants to have a reserve of cryptocurrencies. I believe it's Bitcoin, XRP, Solana. There's 5 of them. I'm sorry. I don't know the rest. So here's the thing about being a YouTube influencer. You have to realize that there's a reason that we're called influencers. It's because we influence people with the way that we speak. This is why Dave Ramsey says he doesn't do debt. Nobody should ever open a credit card. Nobody should ever have debt, manual underwriting for a mortgage, because that is absolutely true for 80% of people. 80% of people are in debt, don't have $400 to their name, can't cover a $500 emergency, don't have $1,000 in savings. That is 80% of people now. How do I put this? I am not influencing you to do this. I don't recommend it, okay? Because, I'll just say it. So if we're going to be moving towards a great reset, okay, let me back up a little bit here. BRICS Nation and OPEC. Okay, BRICS Nation is a whole bunch of different countries. I believe it's Russia, India, China, Saudi Arabia, and the B is, I want to say Brazil. Might be a different B, not quite sure. But there's other countries that have joined the BRICS Nation. And BRICS Nation is basically, their entire setup is to try to get off of the US dollar as the world reserve currency. OPEC, which sells oil, Saudi Arabia and all that stuff. We had, as the United States, we had a 50-year agreement with OPEC that they would only trade in United States dollars, which is part of what brought us to the world reserve currency. Well, that expired last year. So now OPEC is not just trading in US dollars. So not only is our dollar completely becoming devalued because of inflation, it's also becoming devalued because other countries are moving away from the US dollar. As a superpower, if we lose the power of the US dollar as the world reserve currency, we're in trouble because we can't manage our money. If any of our debts are called in, we will go bankrupt. Not any. If all of our debts are called in, we're bankrupt. Which is why we have a very large military power, the biggest on planet Earth. So if we're going to go through a great reset, it's not going to be backed by gold, but the US wants to remain the world reserve currency, which is why President Trump has brought about the 5 cryptos for the United States Reserve. Cryptocurrency, again, I'm an influencer and I don't want to influence you, is the future. It's going to happen. It is what it is. The future. I don't know how far in the future. Could be 5 years, could be 50 years. Might be in my lifetime, might not be. I don't know. But I do know that it is the future. There's a couple of problems with these digital currencies. Number one is that if all transactions are done digitally, all of it, there's nothing under the table. There is no freedom of finances. Meaning, if you have a single mom who's trying to raise some extra money to buy her kids new school clothes, I don't know, new school supplies, and she has a garage sale, Well, if you're doing all those transactions on your phone, the IRS is going to be able to tax that single mom on the sales that she made on that garage sale where she was trying to make extra money. People think that the government does not tax you that much, but you are taxed 50% or more of your money. I don't want to get into it. If you don't realize that, you need to do more research. And I don't want to get into it because that's just a whole other subject that just makes my blood boil. They're slowly eroding. Our money is like not even ours, basically, at this point. You know, we have income. Social Security is a funny thing because you make in Social Security right now, you make about $1,900 a month. But all those years of that money of you putting into Social Security, if you were to invest that yourself, where the government comes in and says, no, we know better, we're taking your money whether you like it or not, and we're going to invest it for you and then give you payments once you reach age 65. If you would have invested that money yourself, and you would have $6 million by the time you retire. Just a 3% of $6 million is like what, $200,000 a year? $200,000 a year divided by 12 is like $16,000 a month. And I don't even know if I'm doing the math right. So you're giving up your $16,000 a month because the government knows better, and you're getting $1,900 a month versus $16,000 a month. It's all a scam, I'm telling you folks. Now, the reason I say that I don't recommend crypto for the average investor is the same reason that Dave Ramsey does not recommend credit cards for the average person, because 80% of people go into credit card debt. When it comes to purchasing cryptocurrencies, 90% of people lose money. 90% of people, I'll say that again, 90% of people lose money. Not everybody invested at Bitcoin when it was a penny, okay? It is volatile, unpredictable, but it's just like stocks. If you invest in an individual stock as opposed to something like the S&P 500, where you have 500 of the world's largest companies in a basket, and then if one goes bankrupt, it falls off, and then the next one comes up. Cryptocurrency is a little bit different because they're all individual. There's no specific, like there's no S&P 500 for cryptocurrencies yet, but there could be, there might be. I made a video a while back where I made, I think it was like $38,000 practically overnight. And I decided to keep my money in the cryptocurrency market because I believe in a diversified portfolio and I have the money to lose. So they say never invest money that you're not able to lose. I have the extra money to keep invested in cryptocurrency. I personally do not recommend cryptocurrency because 90% of people lose money. I spent 2 weeks researching before I made this investment. But I am in XRP. And that's it. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not giving advice. If you don't have the money to lose, do not invest it. I'm not a financial advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Don't do what I do. Do as I say, not as I do. Children. Bramber. We'd get yelled at. My brother Brandon and my name is Amber. Bramber! Oh, coming, Mom! Do you guys do that with your kids too? You mix up their names and they just all come in one big long name and then they all come running? Yeah, we had that. Okay, so if there is a great reset, it is likely going to be something digital, like digital stuff. It is very possible, like, you know, I don't even know how to say this. Everything on this planet is rented anyway. We're only here for a short amount of time. I mean, it's not ours anyway. The house that I live in, someday, maybe in 50 years, maybe in 100 years, maybe next year. Someday this house is going to be rubble. Someday. I don't care if you live in a mansion in Los Angeles. Someday it's going to be gone. Gone. You know, Göbekli Tepe, that place in Turkey is the oldest place that we found, and it's like 15,000 years old. In 15,000 years, planet Earth is still going to be here, but your house isn't. Your jacket, your clothes, your perfume, it's not going to be here. It's all loaned to us anyway. You're not going to be here either. You're just going to be dust. Same with me. So, if there is a great reset, there's not a whole lot that most people can do about finances. There might be a lot. If there is a Great Depression, which I believe will happen within my lifetime, I like to teach on this channel how you can have the same standard of living by spending less. There's only a couple things that I have left that I can get rid of. I mean, if there's a Great Depression, who knows how long it's going to last, but I can get rid of medical insurance, I can sell my car, and I can get rid of my internet. And I can sell everything I own, and that's it. That's it. But if I can't pay my property taxes, I could lose not just all my money, but my house too. And if there's some sort of great reset where money isn't money anymore, you know, if I were to keep $100,000 in my house, but it's not worth anything because they switched it over to something else, what am I going to do? You know? I don't know. I don't know, guys. There's no way to prepare for something like that. You know, I see a lot of preppers on YouTube that want to bug out into the woods. Good for you. That's great. That's not me, but I would imagine if, you know, you guys build huts with sticks and stuff, and I'm just like, why didn't you just carry a tent? It's a lot easier than spending 5 hours building that. I don't know. I guess that if worse came to worse, I would pack up my 10 by 10 tent and a blow up mattress and like a solar unit and some cooking stuff and have a go, you know, charge up my portable DVD player to watch movies whenever I can out in the forest. I don't know. You know, it's so funny people talk about the Great Reset, you know, the next Great Depression, the economic collapse. And ever since I got baptized, has it been 2 years? No, it's been 1.5 years. Since I got baptized 1.5 years ago, my thought processes have totally changed. You know, if something bad happens, oh well. The Bible says God's going to take care of his people. So we will be provided for. And hopefully be provided enough to provide for other people. Take care of your widows and your children. My prepping, the way I do prepping has also changed. So I'm not about stockpiling anymore. Now what am I in this? Things that don't require me to spend money or stockpile. So I already know how to fish. I'm pretty good at fishing, but I don't like to fish. But foraging is the biggest one. I am reading a lot of books about identifying plants and weeds and herbs for their medicinal or dietary purposes. I'm looking into how to cook things that people don't usually use or consider as food. I'm looking at different locations throughout the United States and what different locations grow different things, stuff like that. So if I did ever have to bug out and leave California, let's say, you know, the big one hits, or a nuclear reactor goes off, or something happens and I have to like head out east, you know, I'm going to the Appalachian Mountains. I'm gonna deal with those wild men. Have you ever looked that up, by the way? That's really scary. The wild men of the Appalachians and the skinwalkers over there and stuff. That's I get woo. And then there's these videos. Oh my gosh, they stop me from sleeping, where somebody lives in Appalachia out in the mountains, and they're like, this is why we don't go outside in the middle of the night in Appalachia. And she walks outside and it's just like, oh, it's so creepy. Anyway, but I look into the diversity of the United States and what grows where. Here, where I live right now, is at the northern end of the Central Valley of California, where we grow everything, literally everything. And it grows wild here. Everything grows wild in the Central Valley of California. I'm talking, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. Before I moved here, I had only ever had Bing cherries. That's all I thought that there was. And I move here, and there's like cherries growing wild that I have not only never seen, never heard of. I don't think they even exist anymore they don't exist anymore. I think that they're like ancient, not ancient, but like, you know, 500-year-old non-GMO heirloom something that doesn't exist anymore. It's a cherry that tastes like a mango, you guys. And it's not Rainier, because that's a different cherry. That's like a red and yellow. I find yellow cherries, I find green cherries. It's the weirdest thing. Stuff that I can't even find it in a book, but it's edible and delicious, and I haven't gotten hurt from it. Anyway, I mean, fig grows wild here, cattails. That's another thing, is like looking up stuff. So dandelion salad, cattails is like a substitute for celery. It's 100% edible. Even that weird fluffy brown thing on the top is totally edible. I'm looking into how to harvest pine nuts. Gosh, the list goes on. And then you go to the desert, and then you think about the desert, and you're like, okay, palm nuts, dates, citrus grows in the desert. But the biggest thing that kept so many Native Americans alive in the Mojave Desert was mesquite. Mesquite grows like weeds in the desert, like weeds. And it can be made into flour or coffee. There's even a way to make poor man's milk with mesquite. So you have a complete food and drink resource out of a weed that nobody grows. Why don't they have these in grocery stores? Seriously, why? They literally grow like weeds. They are totally drought, not just drought tolerant, they're like drought proof. I don't understand it. And fish, there's fish in the Colorado all over the place. And there's pawpaws in the Appalachia. I've never had a pawpaw. I hear they're delicious, but they grow wild in Appalachia. Can somebody send me a pawpaw, please? I would really like to try it. We don't have not only do I hear that they don't ship well, so maybe that's why, and that's probably why they don't really sell figs at the grocery store. But here, I mean, loquats, cherries, peaches, plums, apricots, figs. There's more than enough for me not only to survive here, but to thrive and share with other people in terms of food. I'm looking into, instead of making pies, but making with certain fruits that I'm not really that savvy, like I don't really care for them that much. I've been dehydrating them, but now I'm looking into making cobblers. I've never made a cobbler before, so I'm waiting for everything to become ripe, and I'm going to start making cobblers. Soybeans. I make my own soy milk, and you can make tofu. Now I'm learning that with the beans that I have, I can grow my own soybeans. Think about that. Looking in your backyard, most people don't grow soybeans, but you grow soybeans and you have milk and you have a protein. You have like tofu, a protein. milk protein, and you can eat the beans the regular way that they are. You can grind soybeans and make them into flour. So you've got flour, you've got carbs, protein, dairy. That's huge. That's huge. But people don't grow it. I just don't understand. There's so many things here that are so disregarded. And if we have a great reset, they need to be brought back into the normal diet. Cactus. I can't think of the name, but there's cactus fruit and then the pads. Nopales. I've eaten that. I didn't prepare it correctly, so it tasted bitter. So now I know what to do. I'm going to try it again. Growing that. Sunchokes. Most people think that sunchokes are just a wildflower. No, the tubes taste like potatoes. It's like growing potatoes, but with a beautiful flower that comes out first. It's just if you think that there's going to be a Great Depression, which also includes a financial reset, you need to look at it like a Great Depression and also look into other countries that have gone through crazy stuff. Cuba had the oil crisis. Argentina, hyperinflation. Venezuela, total corruption. But you have to look at the daily lives of how these people live and what is valuable to them in a life where they have no freedom to earn money, or money is completely valueless. You know, they have their homes paid for, and they have health care, not our quality standards, but it's free to them. They have free health care and free education, but nothing else. They make like $2 a month, $1 a month. And that's not enough to live off of with government ration foods. I would imagine if there is a great reset, if there is still food production at all, that it would absolutely be rationed. It would totally be rationed. So that's something to look into too. Do I think it's going to happen in my lifetime? Yeah. Do I think this is the great reset? I'm 50-50. I mean, I would like to say no, but I'm like 50-50. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm the pull the Band-Aid off fast type person. I just want it to come so we can get it over with. For all we know, this might be the digital reset, brings on the mark of the beast, which brings on the return of Jesus. So, are you right with God? That is something that you need to absolutely, that should be the first thing to worry about. Because if you're right with God, he's going to provide for you. And if not, if he doesn't provide for you and decides it's your time to go, hey, all you have to do is wait 30 days and starve to death. We are literally a poof. We are ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We are but a flash in terms of eternity. So the way I figure it, this life is just like, yeah, whatever. Whatever. Just bring it on so I can get it over with. And hope and pray that if there is some sort of tribulation that somebody can get to my supplies. It's all in the kitchen, so have at it. If the tribulation happens and you happen to still be here, there's plenty at my house. Come take it. I won't be here. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out. I almost forgot. You guys always get mad at me when I forget the pups. There's the pups.
Just think about what you felt.
We had a WALK this morning. They got PEANUTBUTTER balls. They're happy dogs. They're happy dogs. Rocky's passed out. He's a happy boy. All right, folks. There you have it.
I told you all people were getting.
You guys tuckered out?
And,
Yeah.
We had a lady walk.
You guys all tuckered out?
Hey, I went to the revival, and when you were talking about the glory, she said, for 17 years, I had a car accident. And she said, I wasn't able to lift my hands above my head for 17 years, ladies and gentlemen. Her arms were so messed up, she couldn't raise them above her head.